Samilitam Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamine Dinamine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Bhuteir Mahadbhirayamah Puro Vibhu Nirvaya Shete Yadamusha Purusha Bhunte Gunan Shodashatmaka Solan Krisishta Bhagavan Vacham Sime Shri Krishna Sharanam Sharanagatam Katha Amritam Satatapi Vatam Bhakti Vedanta Marga Pantanam Sarvaloka Rishideva Janna Prasannam Sarvaloka Rishideva Janna Prasannam. Hare Krishna, dear Prabhuji and Matatis. Welcome to our morning Srimad Bhagavatam study session. So we are continuing with the study of 13th chapter titled Dhṛtarāṣṭra Quits Home, First Canto creation from Srimad Bhagavatam. Yesterday we again looked at text number 46. Would anyone else like to recite text 46 and share their realizations on this verse?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can recite.
Yes, Mataji, thank you.
Kala karma gunadhino dehoyam pancha bhautika katham anyamstu gopaye sarpagrasto yatha param.
Translation: this gross material body, made of 5 elements, is already under the control of eternal time, kala, action, karma, and the modes of material nature, guna. How, then, can it, being already in the jaws of the serpent, protect others? We'll move on to the next verse, text number 47. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mutirage. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Ahastani sahastanam apadani chatushpadam. Apadani chatushpadam phalguni tatra mahatam jivo jivasya jivanam. Translation by His Loving Divine Grace, I.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Those who are devoid of hands are prey for those who have hands. Those devoid of legs are prey for the four-legged. The weak are the subsistence for strong, and the general rule holds that one living being is food for another. Word to word. Hastani, those who are devoid of hands. Sahastanam, of those who are endowed with hands. Padani, those who are devoid of legs. Chatupadam, of those who have 4 legs. Phalguni, those who are weak. Tatra, there. Mahatam, of the powerful. Jivaha, the living being. Jivasya, of the living being. Jivanam, subsistence. So jivo jivasya jivanam, one living entity is the food for another living entity. Basically, that is the sum and substance of this verse. Would anyone like to read the purport, please?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A systematic law of subsistence in the struggle for existence is there by the supreme will, and there is no escape for anyone by any amount of planning. The living beings who have come to the material world against the will of the supreme being are under the control of a supreme power called Maya Shakti, the deputed agent of the Lord, and this Devi Maya is meant to pinch the conditioned souls by threefold miseries, one of which is explained here in this verse. The weak are the subsistence of the strong. No one is strong enough to protect himself from the onslaught of a stronger. And by the will of the Lord, there are systematic categories of the strong, the stronger, of the weak, the stronger, and the strongest. There is nothing to be lamented if a tiger eats a weaker animal, including a man, because that is the law of the Supreme Lord. But although the law states that a human being must subsist on another living being, there is the law of good sense also, for the human being is meant to obey the laws of the scriptures. This is impossible for other animals. The human being is meant for self-realization, and for that purpose he is not to eat anything which is not first offered to the Lord. The Lord accepts from his devotee all kinds of food preparations made of vegetables, fruits, leaves, and grains. Fruits, leaves, and milk in different varieties can be offered to the Lord, and after the Lord accepts the foodstuff, the devotee can partake of the prasad, by which all sufferings in the struggle for existence will be gradually mitigated. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9.26. Even those who are accustomed to eat animals can offer foodstuff not to the Lord directly, but to an agent of the Lord, under certain conditions of religious rites. Injunctions of the scriptures are meant not to encourage the eaters of animals, but to restrict them by regulated principles. The living being is the source of subsistence for other, stronger living beings. No one should be very anxious for his subsistence in any circumstances, because there are living beings everywhere and no living being starves for want of food at any place. Maharaj Yudhishthira is advised by Narada not to worry about his uncles and sufferings for want of food, for they could live on vegetables available in the jungles as prasad of the Supreme Lord, and thus realize the path of salvation. Exploitation of the weaker living being by the stronger is the natural law of existence. There is always an attempt to devour the weak in different kingdoms of living beings. There is no possibility of checking this tendency by any artificial means under material conditions. It can be checked only by awakening the spiritual sense of the human being by practice of spiritual regulations. The spiritual regulative principles, however, do not allow a man to slaughter weaker animals on one side and teach others peaceful coexistence. If a man does not allow the animals peaceful coexistence, he can how can he expect peaceful existence in human society? The blind leaders must be therefore understood, the supreme being, and then try to implement the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God, or Ram Rajya, is impossible without the awakening of God consciousness in the mass of mind of the people of the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said, Eite Brahmanda Hari Ananta Jeevagan. In this universe, there are limitless living entities. Chaurasi Laksha Yonite Karaye Brahmana. And 8.4 million species are wandering in this universe. Karaya Brahmana means wandering. Now, in the Vishnu Puran, it is stated what are the categories of these 8.4 million species of life. Therein it is said, Jalajanava on the water, there are 900,000 kind of aquatics. Stharava Laksha Vimshati. And amongst the non-moving on the land, the trees and the plants, there are 2 million. Krimayo Rutra Sankhya, of the 1.1 million, there are insects and reptiles. And Pakshinam Dashalakshanam, and 1 million kinds of different varieties of birds. Trimishal Lakshani Pashava, and there are 3 million kinds of four-legged animals. And Chatur Lakshani Manushaha, and there are 400 species of human life. Now, of all this, the law of nature has been created that jiva, jivan, that one will, for one living entity is the food for another. And it's generally the stronger one which subsists on the lower one. However, as far as the soul is concerned, the soul is eternal. As Bhagavad Gita confirms, na jayate mriyate va kadachin, nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyaha, ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano, na hanyate hanyamane sharire. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death, nor having once been does the soul ever cease to be. The soul is unborn, eternal, ever existing, undying, and primeval. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. The soul is not slain when the body is slain. However, for human being, there are principled methodology for elevation. That the human being cannot just use this principle of Bhagavad Gita and say, oh, the soul is eternal, so it doesn't matter whatever killing of the body we can do to fill our bellies. For human being, it's an opportunity to get out of this cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease, and therefore they have to elevate themselves to the higher consciousness. And to elevate themselves to the higher consciousness, there is a requirement that ahar shuddho sattva shuddhi, that their eating be pure. And eating of dead animals, carcasses, that is grossly in mood of ignorance. And it will just promote violence. And this is the point Prabhupada makes in the purport, that how can we expect peaceful existence within the human society if the human society itself creates many slaughterhouses where there is mass killing of animals. And I think we have covered this point previously, that Srila Prabhupada states in the purports that mass killing of animal is very intimately related to the resultant mass wars which are taking place, in which mass human beings are slaughtered because someone has to pay for the cost of mass animal killings. I don't know of the statistics offhand, but there are millions and millions of animals like cows, chickens, and so forth are slaughtered every day just for the satisfaction of man's tongue and belly. Is this really needed? Actually, just fruit, vegetables, fresh water, these are enough for human beings to subsist on. And most importantly, when it is offered to Krishna in loving devotion, in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, it is very nicely said that patram pushpam phalam toyam, one who offers me a leaf, a flower, a fruit, water, yome bhaktya prayachati, the devotee bhakta undergoes endeavor to do this, prayachati. Krishna says, tad aham bhakti parvatam, seeing the devotee's devotion in trying to offer me fruit, flower, leaf, and water, ashnami prayatatmanaha, I accept it and I take it, I eat it. So You know, once Srila Prabhupada was there in Vrindavan, and a Mayavadi person was there, and he challenged Prabhupada that, Swamiji, you guys are offering bhoga to their lordships, but the lordships, they're just standing there still, they're not eating. So you're just wasting food unnecessarily. This process is not necessary. And Srila Prabhupada replied that Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tad bhaktya puritam ashnami prayatatmanaha. When the devotee offers me with love and devotion these things, then ashnami, I eat it. So Srila Prabhupada said, now who should I believe? Should I believe Krishna, the Supreme Lord, or a rascal like you? And of course, the acharyas have stated how the Supreme Lord is all perfect and all transcendental. So Krishna can even eat through his vision. Angani yasya sakalendriya vritti manti pashyanti panti kalayanti chiram jaganti. That any part of his bodily limb can carry out the function of any other part. So Krishna, simply by pashyanti, just looking at the foodstuff which the devotees have offered, he can partake it. And see the beauty of it. Krishna is so merciful that he leaves behind the prasadam for all of us to partake, to honor. And when we partake the prasadam, then the purification of our existence happens. Prasadam actually purifies our consciousness, and it makes us eligible to understand the spiritual subject matters. Otherwise, those who don't eat prasadam, those who eat animals, and so forth, their consciousness is so polluted that simple spiritual subject matters, that we are not this body, we are spirit souls, they cannot understand, they cannot comprehend, and even simple spiritual truths, they cannot fathom. Because they are grossly in mode of ignorance. Therefore, eating is also part of devotional service, but it is eating of prasadam. Ahar shuddho sattva shuddhi, sattva shuddho dhruvaspratihi. If our ahar is pure, then our existence is pure. If our existence is pure, then our memory will be sharp. And smritar labdha sarva grantinam vipra mokshase naraha. And with sharp intelligence and memory, we'll be able to understand the purpose of the scriptures, what Krishna is trying to say, and follow. You know, yesterday in our Bhagavad Gita study, we were doing the 4 seed verses of Bhagavad Gita. And in those 4 seed verses of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna reciprocates with the devotees in 2 ways. What is the first way? In the 10th verse of the 10th chapter, Krishna says, Tesham satata yuktanam, those devotees who are engaged in serving me with love and devotion, bhajatam priti purvakam, they are saturated with affection for me. Then, dadami buddhi yogam tam, Krishna says, I give them intelligence, by which ye namam upyanti, they can come to me. And then the second thing Krishna says in the next verse, that tesham mevanukam partham, certainly I show them special mercy. And what is that special mercy? Aham ajnanajam tamaha, that I destroy the darkness born out of avidya or ignorance. Nashyami atma bhavasto jnanadipena bhasvata, and I light the lamp of knowledge within the hearts of devotees. So Krishna gives 2 things, knowledge and intelligence, and both are important to understand. Otherwise, if one just studies scriptures without undertaking the process of devotional service, without undertaking or accepting Krishna Prasadam and following the 64 limbs of bhakti as stated by Vaishnava Acharyas. But they are doing just Vedic study just for the sake of it, just for the sake of knowledge. Then where is the intelligence to discriminate between what is right and wrong? No, both are needed. The knowledge is also needed and the intelligence is also needed. And both actually are given by Krishna through the process of devotional service. It is not something that we possess. We don't possess intelligence, we don't possess knowledge. Both are gifted to us by Krishna. These are both Krishna Prasadam. And then we can understand actually that devotional service means that once we practice, do this practice, then our bodily necessity declines. People think that bodily necessities are so much, especially for the tongue and for the belly. However, when we advance in devotional process, then what happens? Piyusha niryapita deha dharma. The deha dharma, the requirements of the body, is niryapita, is extinguished. And this is not just an artificial process of trying to staying away from food stuff, from fasting. No, this is the byproduct of devotional service. One story, one Acharya was once telling that a king was there, and the king in the assembly announced that this goat of mine is never satisfied, is always eating, 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 eating. So whoever satisfies this goat so that he does not have to eat anymore, I will give him 100 gold coins. And so many people took the goat away and they tried to feed the goat as much as possible. But when they brought the goat back to the king's assembly and there was a heap of grass there on the side, the goat went back to eat the grass. But one intelligent person, he said, I will make the goat satisfied. And he took the goat away, and for 1 week, he was just standing by with a stick near the goat. And as soon as the goat went to eat some grass, he would hit the goat. And this perpetually kept happening. And after a while, the goat realized that this person will not allow me to eat the grass. And as soon as I try to eat the grass, he will hit me with a stick. So the person now knew the goat is now trained, he is frightened. Of course, the goat did not eat for 1 week and it did not die, it survived. And the person took the goat to the king, and the king put the heaps of nice green grass there. And the goat, as soon as it wanted to go to take the grass and eat it, the person just showed the stick in front of the goat, and the goat refrained from going. The point of this story is that the goat did not eat for 1 week, but it survived, didn't it? It didn't die. So similarly, human body has enormous capacity and endurance to live without food. But artificially, this cannot be done. However, if one advances in spiritual life, lokam shalokanugatam pasumscha, one rejects the beastly lifestyle of the modern world. And hitva shitaste charanat patram, and one takes shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, which is like an umbrella. How they can do that? Parasparam tvadiguna siddhu, by drinking the intoxicating nectar of Krishna's pastimes, his qualities, his Hare Krishna. So, what will Dhṛtarāṣṭra and Gandhari eat? And they are so used to eating food stuff, which is nice and sumptuous. But Vidura, or rather Narada here, impresses upon them, no, they are following the yogic process. And when following the yogic process or the devotional process, the requirements of the body, they decline. And Prabhus and Matajis, we should really carefully think about these points because there will come a time when our appetite reduces. Because as the body grows older, then the digestive power will decline. Everything material will deteriorate. However, if the person is always having trishna, greed, and hunger for palatable food stuff, then he will be spoiling his health and consciousness. So later on, we read in this chapter, Dhritarashtra was subsisting himself only on water uh, at this point in time, and nothing else. And by that, he was able to control his senses. However, for the devotees, nice vegetarian food stuff is there. But the point is, the more we advance in devotional service, the less actually the bodily requirement is, including the food. Sometimes devotees, in mode of passion, we get carried away. And we want, when we are serving, we want to fill every plate with so much prasadam. And the person is just saying, no, 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 please. But still, we force and impose ourselves. We should not do that. We should ask, yes, can I give more? But if they say no, we ask again, are you sure? And then leave it at that. Um, and in that way, we are respecting the person's mood for honoring prasadam. Prasadam should not go to waste as well. And I've seen many, many devotees who are actually very, quite big in body. But when they take prasadam on their plate, there is only little sabji, little rice. Uh, and of course, sometimes, I think once or twice I've jokingly said to those devotees, oh, Prabhu, Mataji, please don't eat so much. Otherwise, we want to have prasadam for rest of the devotees. But of course, in a humorous manner, we joke around. Um, but the more we progress in devotional service, and the more we are able to deliberately control our tongue, especially in relation to the food stuff, eat prasadam, and eat fruitfully, mitas svesadanam sasvat, and have place in some corner of our house where we can chant nicely and read Srīmad Bhāgavatam, then we will see how the bodily necessities decline. And when our time comes to leave the body, then all these aspects of hunger, thirst, desires will not trouble us. And this is the whole point of understanding these subject matters, because we have to leave one day, but we should not be leave where our mind is agitated and thinking of other desires that have engrossed our lives. But our consciousness is sattva shuddhi, is pure, and is merged in thinking of Krishna. Any comments, Prabhu Sumataji's?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
In the purport, it says, even those who are accustomed to eat animals can offer food stuff not to the Lord directly, but to an agent of the Lord under certain conditions of religious rites. Now, who is an agent of the Lord who accepts food stuff, animal food stuff?
So I think in the 7th chapter of the 1st canto, in the episode of Ashwatthama, where Srila Prabhupada in the paper extensively writes on this point, that those who don't have their senses under check, then once a month on the night of Amavasa, they can kill an animal, but not any animal. They can only kill a goat, and that goat has to be tied to the sacrificial altar, and that goat has to be worshipped, and a mantra has to be recited in that goat's ear. And the meaning of that mantra is that effectively now I'm helpless because I'm not able to control the edges of my tongue and belly. So I'm killing you. But in your next life, you will be I and I will be you. And you then can kill me in a similar way. So that's where this word mam saha comes. Mams comes. Mams means mom means me and saha means you. And that's what mams means. Mas basically. It means meat. But what is the root meaning? Mam, I, saha, you. You will become I and I will become you. And they offer that bali to goddess Kali, and then they are allowed to eat it in a restricted way once a month. So that process, but the purpose of that process is that so many mantras would have been recited in the ear of the goat that the person someday will come to that understanding. I'm cruelly killing this animal, and one day, in many, many lifetimes, again, I have to be killed similar way. So I should leave this. So the purpose of that is to regulate and also to live by becoming disgusted one day. But then people forget what the purpose of this process is, and they just carry on, just killing the animal and in a mass way as well, without any regulation. Is that okay, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you.
So again, from tomorrow, we're having 3 days of festival. Secretary Prabhuji, are you there? Would you like to say something on that?
No, Prabhu, I think everything is advertised. The schedule is advertised. All I can say is just share as much information with others as possible and inspire your friends, family, relatives, everyone to come. And also this is the auspicious time when astrologically there are, I think, 6 or 7 planets aligned from tomorrow. So it's very auspicious period. And also then when we come and do service, we get the benefit, immense benefit. Also the Association of Devotees, His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj is here. So, he will be giving classes all 3 days and Sunday morning Bhagavatam class. And any questions we have, anything relating, we can ask Maharaj and get his association, get his blessings. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. And of course, on Monday is the Siksha ceremony. So those who have not yet committed to second round of chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, they can get in touch with any of their Bhakti Vriksha leaders and do so. By today, if you can do this and encourage others to do as well, that will be great. And you will be receiving blessings directly from Maharaj on your endeavors to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and progress in devotional service. Thank you so much. Dhṛtarāṣṭra Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Have a wonderful Krishna conscious day. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Prabhu. Thank
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you so
Krishna.
much.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.